Namaskar, all of you. Today we are commencing to discuss the Sutra, which is the ninth Sutra of Kaivalya Pada. Jati Desha Kala Vyavahitanam Api Anantaryam Smriti Samskarayoho Ekarupatvat. So again, very important sutra for Karma Siddhanta in Karma Siddhanta. So, Jati Desha Kala Vyavahitanam Api. That means suppose it entails that after the end of this life, next life, we have to take birth in, say, dog class of life. Obviously, because of lots of vicious karmas. If we are to take birth in Shwana Yoni, if it is to be Shwana Janma, if it is to be dog class birth in our next life, how can we become dog without having Shwana Vasana? We have to have dogness, and then the dog form of life has some meaning, or it can be fructification of our sinister karmas in this life. Now this means that there is previous experience of life in dog form, because those vasanas will only surface at the end of this life, which will impel us, push us into a birth in Shwana Yoni. It will push us into womb of dog, and therefore our birth will be of dog form, dog class. So it means that we have had Shwana Vasanas in our previous lives. Never having become Shwana, we cannot become Shwana, because we will not have Shwan impression, Shwan tendencies, dog tendencies, the dogness. And that is why Adhyatma tells us that we have rotated through the wheel of 8.4 million life forms. So we were sometimes Shwana, we were sometimes dog, and therefore we had collected dog tendencies, and therefore now we are proceeding to next life with the dog tendencies. Now that dog birth, now after having been dog in previous incarnation, it might be long time ago, so much so that hundreds of lives elapsed in different life forms. That means after our previous dog class existence, maybe we went through insect form of manifestation, birds, cattle, other beasts, human beings, celestial deities, infernal creatures. So several life forms might be veiling our previous dog class manifestation. It's not that the dog class manifestation was previous, very recent in our previous life, etc., but could be a long lifetimes back. So several lifetimes can elapse between the previous dog class birth and now ensuing dog class birth. That is called Jati Vyavahitam, because many life forms have taken place between the previous life class birth and now prospective ensuing life in dog class. So that is all jati vyavahitam, veiled by several janma vasanas. So in between we had vasanas of birds, vasanas of cattle, vasanas of cats, vasanas of snakes and cobras and plants and trees and human beings. Because we are always rotating in various life forms from time without beginning. So it is possible that 100 lives back we were dogs, and thereafter we were never dogs, and now in the next life we are going to be dogs. So that condition is called veiled by several jatis. So also desha vyavahita, maybe previous life in dog form was in African continent, American continent, European continent, while we have died in India. So also we might have taken lives in various deshas, various locations in between. That means the previous life as in dog form was in, say, in African forest or African continent. Therefore we are born in other countries of Africa, other countries of Europe, other countries of America, other countries of Asia, and now we have taken birth in India as human being, and now we are going to become again dogs. So our manifestations in different avatars in different lives were in different locations also. And therefore that is again another veiling factor. So also Kala. There might be a long time which has elapsed between our last dog form birth. So as I said earlier, little while earlier, 100 lifetime ago, 500 lifetimes ago, 50 lifetime ago. So that means it amounts to some centuries and millennia even. So maybe last dog class birth was in a remote millennia, 2, 3, 4 millennia ago, or 7, 8 centuries ago. So that is a probability. And therefore it will be also veiled by so long duration of time in terms of maybe several centuries, several millennia, several eons. So that means there might be a huge gap between the past dog class birth and now the Shwana Vasana appearing at the end of this life, because we entail to take birth in dog class in our next incarnation. So there might be so many factors which can veil, which are jati, desha, kala, vyavahitanam. So although they are veiled by all these factors, these vasanas immediately surface at the end of this life. Anantaryam api. So although the previous Shwana Vasana was long time ago, long distance, at a long distance, hundreds and thousands of miles apart, yet it immediately surfaces. Because as I told you that Antima Kalina Vasana, which will be impelling us into next incarnation. But then the question comes here, how does it happen? Such a old Vasana, how can it appear at the end of this life for us to take birth in that life form? So the answer is also in the sutra to this question. What is the answer? Shruti samskara yoho ekarupatvat. There is some identicality between Shruti and samskars. So therefore we will have to know what is the case of Smriti. So he says, just as memory can appear after a lapse of long time, but the memory comes as if it is fresh memory. That is, you can have memory of a remote past which has taken place 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But when memory appears, it doesn't show that it is a remote memory, long time back memory. It surfaces in the mind as if it is fresh experience. So, with respect to Smriti, it doesn't really matter, or it doesn't lose any resolution. Like yesterday's memory has high resolution, and a memory of 10 years back event or incidents, or 20 years back incidents, or 30 years back incidents, it doesn't mean it has low resolution. There is no difference between memory of the recent past and memory of a distant past. Memory is memory. It doesn't lose anything in its resolutions and characteristics. So that is marvel of the memory. So there is nothing like old dated memory and recent dated memory. Memory comes in one and the same way. And we marvel at it. That I did not have this memory at all for last 40 years or 50 years, and suddenly the memory has come up. It is as if it is a memory of yesterdays. Not even yesteryears, but yesterdays. So this aspect must be brought to mind. How the memories happen. So he says, Shruti samskarayoho ekarupatvat. There is ekarupatvam, there is identicality, there is oneness between Shrutis and samskaras. It really doesn't matter that old Smriti is more hazy and fresh Smriti is more clear. Smriti is Smriti. The time doesn't matter. And several experiences in between also don't matter. Suppose you have a memory of experience of something 35 years back. That means during the 35 years, several experiences have come to you. But then that doesn't mean that 35 years back incidents has a lot of dust today, and therefore it is not clear. And while the memory of yesterday's recent past is quite clear, it is nothing like that. There is nothing like memory inherently being unclear and inherently being clear. Several experiences have come to us between that memory experience, which was 35 years ago. So during 35 years ago, we had countless experiences. But yet the memory comes up as if it is on surface and not 10,000s and millions of pages under. So it is important, which we in normal walk of life don't pay any heed. Memory is a marvel. It doesn't matter how many years back you had the experience and how many experiences you had between that experience and present experience. countless experiences have come between a memory of 30 years, 35 years back, and now mem- uh, memory appearing today. So, a memory appearing today is also experience. And memory substrate had 35 years back is also memory. So, several memory matters have come in between. There's a huge mansion of memories between 35 years back experience and experience that was recent, a minute back, an hour back. But the memory comes as clear as it's a recent experience. So that's a marvel which we don't really understand, which is a marvel of our consciousness and psyche. So Patanjali says, just as the memory has this marvel, sanskars too have this marvel. What does it mean? Previous Shwanav Janma, previous birth in dog class, was say 1,000 life times back. That means 1,000 life experiences, manifestations are there between that dog class of birth and now ensuing dog class of birth. So there might be 100 or thousands of life form experiences. That doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter in case of memory. So also the previous life class birth might be in a remote place, 10,000 miles apart. And several manifestations in different locations have taken place between that one and now the ensuing one. So maybe now we are going to be taking birth as dog in India, while we had taken several births in several locations in different forms. That doesn't matter. So also the aspect of time. Maybe the last dog class birth was 10,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago, and now next is going to be after any time from the present time. So like the case of Smriti, he says the case of sanskars. They surface with all resolutions and clear resolutions and characteristics. So that is what is being mentioned in this sutra. So there is oneness in Smriti and Samskar. And therefore in Adhyatma we say it is a Shwana Smriti, Shwana Vasana. Vasana is a Smriti. So Shwana Vasana will surface when we are going to take the next birth. Or the Shwana Smriti will surface when we are going to take birth, next birth. It's a form of memory. Vasana is a form of memory. Samskar is form of memory. Samskars are created by memories. So that's the identicality between the two. So that is what is the subject matter of the sutra now. Jati desha kala vyavhaitanam api anantaryam smriti samskara yoho ekarupatvat. So in the example just now considered, Shwana Janma, Shwana Vasana, Shwana Smriti, which is appearing at the end of this life, might be remote, right? Might be distant, might be having several Smritis coming in between for birth. So although there is huge gap, they appear immediately, clearly, because of ekarupatvam in smriti and vasana. So before going to that, let me have little more preamble to the topic of the sutra called Purva Pithika. See, karmanusar bhog is the law of karma. Karma bhoganusar jati ayur bhog is the manifestation. And therefore, our janmantaranam, jatyantaranam, and yonyantaranam happens. Now, we were familiar with these concepts in previous discussions in Kaivalya Pad. So, karma anurup phala prapti, because to become dog in next life form is karma phala prapti. It's a fruition of our karma. Therefore, we are going to take birth in next life in dog class. So karma anurupa phala prapti, which many times the Indian mind says karma vashat, something happens because of the impact influence of karma, that is what we did on earlier occasions. Many things happen now, all the things happen now, and therefore the jatyantar, janmantar, yonyantar is going to happen karma vashat, because of karma. Whatever karma we did, the sum of karmas of this life will give us a sentence to be taking birth in dog class. And therefore, after this life, say in human form, we are possibly going into another life forms as well. We can be going to Sarpa Yoni, we can be going to Pashu Yoni, we can be going to Pakshi Yoni, we can be going to Deva Yoni, we can be going to Narakiya Yoni. So it all happens because of our karmas. We transmigrate to different life forms because of our karmas. And for that to happen, Karma Siddhanta also tells us that there must be something called as Antima Kalina Spruti. This is a great propeller to draw us into another life form, or it's a strong impeller to push us into another life form other than human form. So the Antima Kalina Spruti is of very great importance. Bhagavad Gita casts a strong spotlight on Antima Kalina Spruti, which is like threshold between this life and next life, this life and ensuing life. So we had discussed this Antima Kalina Spruti aspect while we were dealing with Karma Siddhanta in Sadhana Pad. And therefore this Antima Kalina Smriti can make man anything in next life: lizard, snake, cobra, beast, animal, cattle, bird, worm, insect, not human being. This was our life in human form, but then there is going to be yonyantaranam because of our karmas. And the mechanism is that Antima Kalina Smriti does that marvel. That is, when you are going to breathe your last, that is another expression of death. You breathe your last. So when you breathe your last, there is no next breath. There is death. And therefore, if you recall, we had also delineated on this factor that the last breath moment is extremely busy moment in our life, because the destiny knows that this is your last breath, and then what is going to follow is death, and what is going to follow death is your next life, which can be yoni antar, it can be in any other life form, or it can be human form, or whatever form. So the balance sheet is drawn from the karmas of our present life for whatever duration we lived, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, 100 years. The karma balance sheet is prepared. The trial balance of our karmas is prepared, balance sheet is prepared, and then we are given a sentence that our next life is going to be cobra or dog or cat or insect or worm or whatever. So the last breath is not just the last breath, it does work out the entire audit of our life. Karma audit of our life is accomplished in that last exhalation, knowing that it is the last exhalation and there won't be a subsequent exhalation again in this life. And then karma devatas give us a sentence as to which form of life we will get for our next life based on karmas of present life. So the last moment memory has a unique place. It's not only that it is a last memory of life. The last memory of life is summation of all the karmas of during the lifetime, and whereby there is a sentence given to us that we will be taking birth in another life form. So karma anurupa smriti, your last moment memory will correspond to your karma, the whole sheet of karma, whole structure and mansion of karma. So your smriti will correspond to what karmas you have done during the lifetime. And then you will get corresponding memory which will be impelling us into that yoni, that womb. So couple of important points to be noted in this sutra are this: Antima Kalina Smriti, Yodyantar, Jatyantar, and the whole karma audit of the present lifetime done in just split second. During that exhalation, the whole karma audit is given in the hands of our chitta, which is a kind of sentence that you will go to cobra form or snake form or dog form or cat form or worm form or insect form or beast form or whatever form. And therefore the last moment memory is smriti. And that smriti will give rise to samskars, which will correspond to our next manifestation. In the example that we are taking today is that the dog class of manifestation, Shwana Yoni, Shwana Janma in the next life, then Shwana Vasana, Shwana Samskars will be surfaced with the last moment memory, and therefore it will impel us into womb of dog class, uh, whereby we will be born in dog class. So previous dog form manifestation might be veiled by jati, desha, kala, and might be, that is vyavahita, might be veiled by all that. And anantaryam, thereafter we are going to be heading towards dog womb. It is because of the antim kalina smriti, which is due to karma audit. The karma audit is going to decide what kind of antima kalina vasana should be there. And this vasana has identicality with the smriti, because smriti is something which we experience during our lifetime and all the lives as human form. We know what is memory and what is real experience. So these samskars and vasanas are form of memory itself. They are in the form of memory. Now for hundreds of lives in between, we did not have Shwana memory, Shwana smriti. But at the end of this life, according to our example that we are taking today, we will be getting Shwana smriti and therefore Shwana janma. So this is what is being mentioned in the sutra. Now little more delineation on smriti samskara yaho ekarupatvat idea in the sutra. Suppose you have met a person in a location such as Gateway of India in Mumbai. Now that was 25, 35, 40 years back. But it can appear again with manifesting cause of smriti. Maybe you will meet the same person at Gateway of India in Mumbai, and then you will remember last time we met was 35 years back or 35 years back. The memory will come that way, that you had met last time so many years back, 20, 30, 40 years back. So the memory comes as if it is fresh memory. Although there are so many memory factors in between in those 30, 35 years, so many memories were formed, so many memories we had, but this memory was those 25, 30 years back, and that surfaces. Because it has a manifesting cause. This we have considered while dealing with sutra. It doesn't mean that we had no experience between those 35 years back at Gateway of India and today. So many experiences had appeared, so many causes of memories were there, so many memories came and went away. We perhaps visited other cities such as Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, New York, Paris. So we had so many memory supports, memory basis. But suddenly you remember after 35 years that you had met this person 35 years back here. Although you traveled maybe around the world and had lots of memory packages. So that's how the memory is a marvel. Similarly, these vasanas and samskars are a marvel. That you were a dog maybe 100 lives back or 1000 lives back. Maybe you were in a remote continent as a dog in previous life. And several years or millennia had passed between the last dog class birth and ensuing dog class birth. Yet the manifestation is high resolution, like Smriti. So, well, the terse matter is being discussed, so I won't elongate the prolongate this session today, because there is much to assimilate in the matter of the discussion of Sutra. So, therefore, we will close the session here today and proceed onwards in our next sitting. So, namaskar, all of you.